This is the Be the Solution podcast, and I'm your host, Maria Quattrone. And Be the Solution is all about you. It's about you being your own solution. You have the power to be the solution and change your life. Today, my guest is Attiyah Blair. Oh, she's such a remarkable woman. I love this lady. Her energy is fantastic. And she's been around in the Philadelphia uh, corporate America for several decades now, but we're going to hear her story unfold today. But she's an international speaker, a business consultant, multi-million dollar real estate investor. She's been speaking and inspiring others for over 2 decades and started investing in real estate back in 2007, almost 20 years. T is passionate about sharing her peak performance and wealth building knowledge with aspiring investors and professionals. Our students have collectively purchased over $100 million worth of real estate in a very short time. T attended Temple University's real estate school prior to becoming a licensed real estate salesperson. She holds a bachelor degree in broadcast communications. She began her speaking career real estate company Reset Real Estate and our consulting company Reset Peak Performance after working in television for 10 years with NBC, CBS, and Fox News. Welcome, Attiyah.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you.
So happy to be here with you, my friend. It's been a minute.
It
and,
has.
And through that minute, you have a lot of stuff going on. So, you've been in the real estate space for close to almost 2 decades, and investing and showing others and leading the way. But now you have decided to make a bigger impact and be able to reach and serve more people. So tell me about Reset Peak Performance, which you just recently launched your speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. So Reset Peak Performance, it is a consulting firm where I am empowering 6, 7, and 8-figure women in business, both entrepreneurs and executives, and helping them to get what it is they truly desire instead of what they have been settling for. And my clients are women who really want more. They are hungry for more, and they are determined to live life with power, passion, and peace. And through our work together, I help them to create more income because we all want that, more impact that's important to us, and more insight as well.
So let's go back for a minute and talk about your journey.
Sure.
So this wasn't something like, it just isn't a fly by night thing. I mean, you have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears, the woman in the arena, so to speak. And what through your journey brought you to where you are today? I guess let me rephrase that. Who did you have to become to be the Attiyah you are now? What did you have to go through?
I love that question. So I have been obsessed about goals and achievement really since I was a kid. You have those folks, and I think this is a common story with a lot of entrepreneurs. We show up as the much younger version of who we are as adults when we were kids. So as a child, I remember creating a business card when I was in middle school, and it had a little teddy bear on it. I'm selling candy and different things like that. And speaking to my experience in real estate, my father was a general contractor since the day I was born. So he wasn't necessarily teaching me. I was just running around the sheetrock, causing trouble, I'm sure, getting in the way. And so I really continue to be that person, that same person that really cared about goals, cared about achievement, cared about standing out. I did the morning announcements, and I was speaking in the church plays and doing all that. And so I'm an adult version of all of that now. And so My initial focus when I went to college and was thinking about what I wanted to do with my life, the focus was on television. My mom would always tell me, because I love words, I'm a lexiphile. I love words. I believe that words have the power to create and inspire, and it gives us the ability to get what we want out of life. And don't we want that? We all want to get what we want. And so, through my love of words, I decided to focus on a career in television. And my degree is in broadcast journalism. As you mentioned, I worked in television for 10 years right out of school. I actually landed my first TV job when I was 19. I thought to myself, do they know how old I am? But I was, in fact, qualified. I started working early. I actually did sales at a home improvement company, selling windows, siding, and roofs. And I did that. I started in college. I started in high school doing that, telemarketing. And then I worked my way up to manager by the time I left at 19 to get my first job in television. And so they hired me, let them know that I really wanted to be in the newsroom because that was a sales job. I was doing sales for, all the big dollar commercial spots. And after a year or two doing that, I went into the newsroom, and I stayed in the newsroom until I decided to leave in 2011. That was a really great experience. Working in television, very intense environment, very hard deadlines. We go on air at 8 a.m. It has to be ready at 8 a.m. It doesn't matter what happened, what didn't happen, who showed up, who didn't. We're going on air. So it requires you to be very agile, very resourceful, very intense.
Yeah. As I say, the sunset waits for no one. The sunrise waits for no one.
And this sunrise, we're just like the sunrise, when it's 8 a.m. and we go on air, the whole city's seeing it, the whole country's seeing it. So you have to get it right. And so that was a really great experience. Also meeting lots of celebrities and things like that. It was really cool. But I knew that was one of the first significant resets that I had as an adult, was deciding that the truth is I really am an entrepreneur. Working at NBC, I can't tell NBC what to do. I can control my little, my TV show, but I can't tell them what to do. I can't call the shots. And I know that that's an area that's a strength for me. I am very creative, and I'm a true entrepreneur. And so in 2011, I took the leap, left my job. I became a health and wellness consultant, actually. So I actually used to weigh nearly 300 pounds, and my weight has just gone up and down. And you and I were chatting. I've lost 50 pounds actually recently, and just decided that was a goal that was really important to me. And I wanted to lean out. But with that business that I had started, it was okay. It didn't go the way that I planned. And I think it's important to share this because a lot of people go, oh, I'm going to start this business. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to make six figures. And I thought all of those things, and that is not what happened. I struggled. It was very hard. I barely made any money. When my clients had some kind of challenge come up, I was the first to go, the least important expense that they had. It was really challenging. And so after a few years of doing that, I had to start to consider going back to getting my job, because I left there, I was 27, and I was kissing six figures, which was really good. I was really happy about that. And, I just knew when I became a full-time entrepreneur, I would leave and make that six figures back again right away. And that's not what happened. And so I started to consider going back. But the truth is, again, I was an entrepreneur. The thought of going back to clocking in made me sick to my stomach. So at that point, I had two options. I had to figure it out, or I had to figure it out. And so I decided to figure it out. And at that point, I decided, let me do a flip. I had, at that time, I was already a landlord. I became a landlord at that time. I was probably about 30 by this time. And I bought my first house at 23. So I was already a landlord, just with one property. And, but I was watching all these shows on HGTV about, doing flips. And because I was so comfortable in the environment, I knew that was something that I could do too. So I did my first one. I made $25,000 on my first flip. I decided to do 3 more that year. So I did cross the 6-figure mark in 1 year with that. And I was like, this is it. I'm going to do this full time. And I started to share a little bit on social media. Lots of women said, please teach me. And so that became another business. And I taught real estate for 4 years. And like you mentioned, my students, they've purchased over $100 million worth of real estate, 102 million. So I'm really proud of that. Amazing work. And at the same time, I knew that it was time to hit the reset button again. And it was time for more. I had this burning desire and passion just to really serve people, not just in real estate. And so that's how Reset Peak Performance was born. A lot of people would say, oh, Attiyah, you found your calling with real estate. And it's not really my calling. It's just something that I just so happen to be a peak performer at. And I can do that in so many other areas and show people how to do that in so many other areas. And so that's what Reset Peak Performance is all about. And that's how it was born.
That's quite the journey.
Yeah.
Quite the journey. And, I want to mention something that you said. It's sales is, and whatever your business is, it's the same principles that are across the board. It really doesn't matter what industry you're in. Now, in regards to, flipping homes, yes, of course, or selling real estate, becoming an expert in what you do with that. But while you're doing that, you're becoming an expert also in, the resetting and because you already did it. You've done it. Now sharing that gift with others and helping them rise up to the next level, wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a lot of passion for the next step, which is what you're doing now with Reset Peak Performance. And you're serving both corporate and consumers, correct?
Yes. So I do workshops and leadership training and development for different corporations. And then I also do that for government agencies as well. And then I serve, the individual clients also. Yeah.
Awesome. What do you think is the biggest thing that get in women's way of reaching the success that they want?
I think that most of us don't achieve our goals because we are so stuck being who we've always been, and we are not willing to open ourselves to who we can be. So, and this is what I mean by, helping women get what they desire instead of what they're settling for. Because most of us, we wake up and we go through the motions. We have work and family and church and groceries and cooking and errands and all of these things. And because of that, we don't have the energy, the freedom, the thought to really pursue our passions, to really pursue our goals. And so what happens is many of us, we look up years later and, I was supposed to invest in real estate 10 years ago. I really wanted to write that book 15 years ago. And many of us take our gifts to the grave with us. And it's a shame. And my work and my passion is to really give women permission to pursue their goals, because a lot of women, we put everybody else before ourselves, our spouse and our children and our nieces and nephews and church and work, and we come last. And so helping my clients to understand you are worthy of putting yourself first. And when you put yourself first, everybody else wins. All the other people that you love, that you want to take care of, they win too. It's a win-win. Right. And I'm really passionate about that because I've unfortunately now lost both my mother and my father, very close to both of them. And I'm very young to have lost both of my parents. My mom had cancer, my dad, heart disease. And so losing them is painful for me. I sit with that every day. And that pain is a constant reminder to me that I get to do this once. I get to live this life once. Maybe there's an afterlife. I haven't been there. I don't know. What I know is I'm here now and I want to create impact and I want to make as much money as I want to make, not for the money's sake, but for the resources that money can provide, for the freedom that money can provide, for the flexibility, the happiness. I can buy back my time. I can help my family members live an amazing life. I live an amazing life. I want that for myself. I can have that. I'm worthy of that. And so it is really focusing on getting what I want out of this life. And so that's what it's all about. We are so focused on who we've been, we can't get to who it is that we're meant to be.
I'm tearing up. I'm tearing up because everything you said is true.
Mm-hmm. Especially for high-powered women like yourself and I. It's true. We all struggle with it.
You can't get to who you want to be. And then you wake up, more, you will say, there's all the dreams are dead in the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It really does. It really does. I think that we don't need as much depression medication as we think we do, right? Because we go to medication a lot. I believe strongly that when we are not happy and when we are not just on fire, waking up excited for what's to come during the day, it is not because of a lack of resources or a lack of anything. It's about expectation. So because people will look at us, women like you and I, and they'll say, oh, she's so successful. But on the inside, we really know what we're capable of. We really know whether we are getting after it. We really know whether we are chasing our dreams and going after what it is that we want. And so what creates the sadness, the depression, the lack of contentment is not meeting our expectations. I'm a avid traveler. I've traveled to all kinds of corners of the world in different countries and seen people who have so little and they're so happy. So it's not about what we have. It's about, am I making progress? Am I growing? Am I doing more? Am I getting closer to what it is that we want? And what I know for myself and my clients as well is during the times where I felt the lowest in my life, most of those times it was because I was not being the best and highest version of myself. I was not growing. I was not making progress towards my goal. And it really does create depression and
No doubt.
and misery and causes issues if we're not, in therapy and very in tune with ourselves. Sometimes we'll point the finger and blame others. Oh, you're not doing this. Oh, I'm not happy because of that. Happiness is an internal job. It's an inside job, just like being the solution. It's an inside job, right? And so
yes,
a lot of us walk around sad, upset, angry for the simple fact that we are not getting closer to the highest and best version of ourselves.
Attiyah, I think a lot of people get stuck. They're stuck. They know that they're destined for more,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to get out of, I'll call it the rat race, maybe. I'll call it that because it sounds like a good word, 2 words to use. But it's like this, and not that they're not successful.
Mm-hmm.
These are very successful individuals I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
People know that they're women. There's some women I know that know they're meant for more, yet they can't break through. Like, what are some things that are I guess what's the word I want to use, that are action oriented,
Mm-hmm.
that women can use to kind of like open up and go to the next level or free their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think freeing your mind, like you're in a business, you're working the business, like you said, you get up, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do. How do people free their mind to even be able to think to go to the next level?
Absolutely. So I got you covered. I know exactly what you're saying. So it's really the reset method, right? So I've created a very specific framework to get my client solutions, and it was birthed by me being my own solution. So I paid attention because success leaves clues. So I paid attention to every time I hit the reset button, afraid or unafraid. Every time I hit the reset button, there were some very specific things that happened for me to take those leaps and jumps, right? And every time I did it, mostly I was afraid, right? Because when you're doing a reset,
Yes.
you're going into something new, uncharted waters. Sometimes it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. And there's some very specific things that happen. So the reset method, I created an acronym for it. So the R is for release. The very first thing we have to do is let go of what hasn't been working, right? And so there are a series of steps that I take my clients through to achieve that. We have to let go of what's not working. And change is very difficult, even positive change, because we like to stay in our comfort zone, but our comfort zone is killing our goals, right? So we have to release first. Then E is for explore. This is where we really dream big. So I like to call it imagineering, right? So there's an Imagineer and there's the engineer. This is a concept that Disney came up with, right? So they have
Yes.
their Imagineer department. They have to stay clear of the engineer, because the Imagineer will go, I want, 10 ponies in my front yard. And the engineer goes, how does that make sense? What would you feed them? All that. So I have spent time with my clients and myself to dream big. I mean, big. And then I 10X on top of that sometimes. And so I really help my clients to expand their vision and to just really get excited and to do all those, and consider all those things that somebody told them they couldn't do. Because a lot of times our Imagineer gets killed as a child. We come out playful and creative and ready and capable and confident. And then life comes in. It could be our parents, it could be teachers, it could be school, our community, and it totally crushes our spirit and crushes, the true essence of who we are. So I get my clients to dream again. After we do that, then we strategize and plan. And so, you know what, I'm feeling inclined to go back a little bit, because with that exploring, a lot of times we don't feel like we're enough, and we are enough, right? We are enough.
Yes.
We don't feel like we're enough, or we don't feel like we're worthy, or we feel like it's too late. All these different things come up. We have the external voices, we have the internal voices. Actually, I did a video yesterday, recorded some content, and I talked about how we have to be careful about how we talk to ourselves. That internal conversation is so important because it determines our external results. It's really important. And if the truth is, if someone spoke to us the way that we speak to ourselves, we would never speak to them again.
That's right.
So that's all a part of exploring. All right. So then now to the S, strategize and plan. We want to write the plan and make it plain, really in minute detail, going over what the goal is and all the things that it's going to take to make it a reality. Then after that, we evaluate what's needed from ourselves and others. One of the number one reasons why we don't achieve our goals is because we don't really consider what it's going to cost us, what it's going to take for us to get it done. We see things on Instagram, we see some shiny new object, we go, oh, I want that. And it doesn't happen because we're not willing to sacrifice, so we have to have an honest dialogue about whether we're willing to do what it takes. And the good news is we don't have to be all the things and know all the things. We can hire, right? So I like to say, outsource your weakness. If there's something you're not good at that you hate, it's okay. None of us are good at everything. None of us love everything. None of us are successful at everything. We have to outsource all those things. So social media, property management, all the admin work, very important. that as CEOs, executives, we are never focused on $20 tasks. If we can pull in 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 for our business per hour, if we are focused on our zone of genius and focus on sales, right? So that's the E, evaluate what's needed from yourself and your team. And then the last one is T, take action. Action is the activator. We have to take action, and we have to obsess to be truly successful at a high level at anything. You have to be obsessed with it. So that's why you'll hear a lot of people talk about how we are most successful at the things that we're passionate about, because we're likely to obsess. Wake up. When I built my real estate portfolio, the majority of it, 95% of it, in a very short period of time, maybe a 4 or 5 year window. I'm buying like crazy. I'm buying houses faster than I'm buying shoes or anything else. Obsessed, waking up thinking about it, going to bed thinking about it, analyzing deals during the day, running out to properties, obsessing over tiles and sheetrock and contractors and numbers and all of that. We really have to be obsessed and love it enough to be obsessed, and that leads to success. So those are the steps.
Whew. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring. Like literally, this conversation with you is very inspiring. I think that as women, we take on so much. And when you were talking about, imagining, and as kids, we imagined. And then I remembered for myself when I stopped imagining and why and what happened. And, I was forced to kind of grow up a little quicker, being the oldest, having to take care of my younger brothers and sisters. And I, even I got emotional even thinking about it. As I had all these ideas. Not that I don't have ideas. I'm saying like as a child, a young girl, because, you mentioned something, and we are, as we were as a child, we are today. Attiyah, I found a copybook. So I'm a little older than you. So I found this copybook, and it's covered in contact paper.
Okay.
And it's from 1982. And I'm 12 years old. I just turned 12. And on the outside, it's covered like a dream board, basically, in the front and the back. And it says on there, France, Spain, Canada, has an autograph book, wine, cherry pie, like all these things, successful, money, like pocketbook, nail polish, like it has, you would say, honest, most 90% of that is you today.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, like, our imprint of who we are is imprinted in so very young.
Yes.
I don't think people realize, like, we just grow up to be this, bigger version of our mini self, our little self.
Yeah.
And internally, sometimes I still feel like that 12-year-old girl. Like she's still in there, and she can't handle the Maria who's here today. Right? Like that person can't. And one of the things, I talked about yesterday on a video was showing up as the best version of yourself today that you can be. And so often than not, I don't even think we think about that. Like, who can we show up today? If somebody needs us to show up today for that person. And then sometimes, Attiyah, we have to burn it all down.
Yeah, we have to reset. Yep.
Right? Burn the boats.
Yeah, absolutely.
As people would say. And I remember resetting. I was still in the industry, still in real estate, but resetting. And usually the reset, there's something that happens before it. But it does give new energy, and sometimes the reset takes you out of where you've been for a long time.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the best thing for us.
So how do people, I say people because I'm used to saying people in my business, how do women
Yeah.
figure it out? Like, am I ready for a reset? It sounds scary.
Hmm.
Is it
Well,
scary?
yeah, all the good stuff is. All the good stuff is. During my last reset, I'm speaking to my mentor. And I'm telling her how uneasy I feel. She said, "That's so good. That's how you know." Because when you go to the next level, it's uncomfortable, right? It is feels risky. It feels scary. It's like, when you are a woman who is used to performing at a certain level, you take pride and confidence in having the answers, being the solution, knowing all the things. And when you're going to another level, you're not going to know everything. You will eventually, um, but not when you get started. And so um, I know that before every reset, there is a feeling of dissatisfaction. There is a feeling of, there's a lack of fulfillment. You may have progressed to the point where there's depression and sadness, and you feel very blah and you feel very numb. Maybe you've decided that you're going to stick to what you've been doing because it pays the bills. I know a lot of us have responsibilities. We got to keep the roof over our head for ourselves, for our family and children.
Well,
Um,
especially when you have a business and you have like a s- an office and
mhm,
50,000, $100,000 a month expenses. Then
mhm,
what? Then what do you do? You're kind
exactly.
of you're
It's
stuck.
golden handcuffs. I called it. You're not stuck, but it can feel that way, right? As long as you have your health, the strength, the fortitude, you're not stuck, but it can certainly feel that way. But there are always options. And so to answer your question, what do you do, right? So those are the feelings that come before, a reset is necessary. Most of us ignore it though, and we just stay. We just put up with it. We just deal with it. And this goes to, losing both my mother and my father. I spoke to them about what they cared about on their deathbed, and it was not work, and it was not money, none of those things. It was impact, them fulfilling their purpose and their calling. And, we don't have enough time for me to get into how my parents felt about whether they, did everything that they were called here to do. And it's about love, who loved us and who, um, you know, we love as well. And so none of this, I don't know if I can cuss, none of this ish matters. A lot of it doesn't matter. It really put into perspective for me how insignificant a lot of the things that we worry about, we make so important. It is so insignificant. And so those are the rumblings and the feelings that come up, and we typically ignore it. And then we, like I said, our gifts go to our grave. The impact goes to our grave, and we sit in our rocking chair and we're disappointed in ourselves. And after love and hate, the most powerful emotion is regret. And I made up my mind that when I get to my deathbed, because we're all going there, when I get there, I don't want to have that regret. I will not have it. I am going to serve. I'm going to do what God called me here to do. If I have to be uncomfortable, if I have to lose money, if I have to lose relationships, whatever it is, but what I refuse to do is go to my grave with these gifts that I'm very clear that I am here to do a very specific work, right? And so on top of that, and to answer your question, you know, what do you do? Like how I call them golden handcuffs, right? What
Mm.
do you do? You hit the reset button. But here's the challenge with that. It is very difficult to see the jar when you are the label. It's very difficult to see the picture when you are the frame, right?
Yes,
And so
yes,
what that
yes.
means is it's just a fancy way of saying it's hard to fix yourself sometimes. If you're used to being stuck in your ways and doing things your own way, it really does require outside mentorship. And mentorship can come in, different forms. Obviously, I love serving the clients that I serve, but it can come in books, it can come in listening to podcasts like this. It can come in therapy. It can come by, your girlfriend who's super successful and she's not afraid to hit the reset button. And you've seen that and you take her advice when she gives it to you. It can come in different forms.
Mm. Mm, so good. Phew. I'm like lost for words because it's so true and it's very emotional for me.
Yeah.
So, just because we're on a podcast doesn't mean that I don't have emotion. I'm not a human. Um, and it's prevalent. I think a lot of us go through life and we're really good at something, like really good. And then we wake up one day and we go, is this it?
Hmm.
And I know that it's like I shared this earlier with you, destined for more,
Hmm.
able to serve more people, have a greater impact. And I think that's why I feel the way I feel today.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
it's hard. There has to be like a breakthrough,
Yeah.
a reset.
Hmm.
So, you know, waving a magic wand, Attiyah, where do you see yourself in the future with your company, Reset Peak Performance?
Yeah, I love that question. In the future, I would have single-handedly transformed the lives of hundreds of thousands, millions, if God blesses me to do that, of women and men too. They can come and learn as well, and that's really important to me. And the way that I love serving the most is, on stage, because I can serve more people at one time, and workshops and large groups. Um, and so, and speaking on stages across the world, I love to travel, and I do have, clients in and out of the US. So, just having impact across the globe. We live in a global society with social media and, video chatting and things like that. The reach, can be far and wide. And so I do want that. And then personally achieving my goals. So I really am. I pinch myself at the life that I've been able to build, the life that my husband and I have been able to build. We just celebrated 15 years of marriage.
God
We're
bless.
still going
Happy
strong.
anniversary.
Thank you
God
so
bless you.
much. Thank you. And we really do have, both my husband and I come from extremely humble beginnings. And we already have way more than we ever could have imagined. And so now we're working to make sure, because it's not fun uh, having, living where you want to live and traveling and doing all the things you want to do. And then the people around you, aren't able to enjoy some of those same things. So it's really about impact at this point. It's about helping others. It's about creating as many millionaires as I can. That's really important to me. I've chosen the auntie life, so we don't have full-time kids. We have part-time kids, nieces, aka nieces and nephews. And so I impart wisdom on them. I have them as old as 30, early 30s, because I have an older brother, much older brother. And then my youngest is 8. And so seeing each and every one of them become a millionaire is very important to me.
Mm.
I am standing on my parents' shoulders. My parents, have stood on their parents' shoulders, and they need to stand on mine. So my expectations for them are high, and they want it themselves as well. And you can be a millionaire doing anything. You can be a millionaire janitor. I know some. You can be a millionaire real estate investor. Some of them have watched me, and they want to do that. I have one of my nieces. She owns her own gym, so she's heavy in the fitness space. So just seeing them pursue their passion, I want them to be ahead of me. I want them to do better than me, and that's really important. And so that's what I'll be focusing on: serving others, making their dreams come true, and making mine come true as well.
I love it. It's
Mhm.
so beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
you're such an inspiration.
Thank you so much.
Mm. Before we wrap it up, I have a couple questions for you. Two questions.
Okay.
One, what is your guilty pleasure?
Traveling is my guilty pleasure. It really is. Even during COVID, I'm like, I can't stay in the house. So I have to move about, and so and it could be as small as going to another state. But I do like to go out of the country. This year alone, I've been to 4 countries. I started the year in Ghana. Then I went home to Trinidad. That's where my family's from. And my husband and I celebrated our anniversary in Turks and Caicos. And then we went to Sardinia, Italy for my birthday. And then I went to Paris. I made a new friend who's a model, and they're like, come to Paris for Fashion Week. I'm like, yes. So I went. So traveling, that's my guilty pleasure.
Mm,
I'm obsessed.
I love it. I love to travel myself, although I'm not following it as much as I should.
Sure.
But I will. I will be soon. In the next month.
Good.
Back on the travel.
Awesome.
Okay. The next and final question. Well, I know you reset and launched a new business, Reset Peak Performance. But what else, and it could be within the business as well, are you most excited about for your personal future?
It's just, again, it's the same thing. Speaking on stage, I literally fantasize about speaking on large stages. I fantasize about that. I fantasize about sitting down and talking to Oprah. I fantasize about being on the Today Show. I fantasize about all these things. And so, yeah, that's it for me.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Using my words, which is my gift that God gave me, using my words to impact and inspire.
I love it. I love it so much. And I can see it. You fantasize about the big stages, about Oprah. Hey, if you can't fantasize it, it won't ever happen.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. Well, Attiyah, thank you so much for taking time to be on the Be Solution podcast. And I wish you the best. And with the Reset Peak Performance, I know you're going to kill it like you've been and really impact more lives than you've even been able to. So I am honored to have you on today, and I'm excited about your journey and watching you continue to succeed at a high level.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that it helps as many people as possible.
Absolutely. And so many people need that support. So great to have you today.
Thank you so much.